Hey everybody, we got our big containers planted and I'm going to show you exactly how we did it. So each one of these containers is about 31 inches wide by 24 inches tall. So not the biggest we planted, but definitely a formidable size. But despite their large size, they're plastic, so they're actually quite light. So we wanted to make sure that they had enough weight so that they couldn't get blown around by the wind. Remember, if we put some tall plants in there, they could get really top heavy and we didn't want them getting blown over or anything like that. So we decided we needed to put some weight in each one of these containers. So it was winter and snowing, so I didn't have a lot of options. I wasn't going to go try to dig through snow for heavy items. So we did have some old concrete blocks laying around. I thought that'll do. That'll be, one block per container will be great. Now they wouldn't fit horizontally in each container. It wouldn't go all the way to the bottom. And if you're trying to stop stuff from being top heavy, you need to have the weight on the bottom, not in the middle. And then when I put it upright, it was a little too high. It came up to around here, and that could have interfered with the roots of what we put in the middle of the container. So we didn't want that either. So I ended up breaking each one of the blocks and just putting the pieces in there. It's the same amount of weight. It was all distributed on the bottom, so that should work out pretty well. Then we added our soil, and each one of these holds 30 scoops of soil, and our scoop is a gallon scoop. That's what they call it. So you can picture 30 gallons of milk in each one of these. I know soil isn't measuring gallons, but hey, it's the reference I have. So that's a decent amount of soil. And as we were filling it, we did make sure to add water because we did want some of the moisture down towards the bottom right from the start. Because if we're just top watering, it can take quite a while for that water to get all the way to the bottom of the pot. And we want to encourage the root growth all the way down. So if we were to just top water, if that water stayed up at the top 6 inches, that's as far as the roots would probably go, and we'd have lazy plants. So we didn't want that. So we did give them the soil some water before, and then it was time to do some planting. Because we know each of these pots will be on drip irrigation, we were able to put more plants in than we would have if we knew that we'd have to hand water these, because these are going to be going out in the driveway, and on a hot windy day it's much easier to just turn the drip on for a little while than it is to have to haul a hose or haul water out to these pots. So we didn't have to hold back like we would have if we knew that these would require special watering needs. Once the plants are in place, we make sure that they're surrounded by a good amount of soil, and then we finish them off with a layer of rice hulls. Now for us, the rice hulls work as a bit of a mulch. They're a moisture kind of barrier. They also keep some of the moisture in, and they also deter some of the bugs and insects that might crawl around, and it just has a little nice looking finish to it, so we kind of like that. Now I'll let you know what we planted in each one of the containers, starting with that one there with the trellis. The trellis serves as a framework for two of the plants, starting with this one here, the dark leaf one, is the upside black coffee. It's a new sweet potato vine, and the incredible thing about this one is that it's very vigorous and it loves to climb. So it's going to eventually reach out to here and it's going to climb its way up the trellis, just like what you're seeing here with the Thumbergia or black-eyed Susan vine. This one here is the lemon appeal. So we've got the nice dark leaves. It's going to have bright yellow flowers on the Thumbergia as well, so that's going to be just beautiful. And then we've got some geraniums in here. These are violet geraniums, and so they're the Calliope medium violet, and these have a really intense magenta flower to them. And there's 4 of them. 3 of them are regular Calliopes. We did stick in one Calliope Cascade too. That's a new one this year. We wanted to see how it grew compared to the other one. So by sticking that in, we'll get to see how it grows under the same conditions. And then on each side, over here, we have some helianthus. That's the suncredible yellow, and that is a sunflower. Gets really very, very large. So it'll be interesting to see how they play together. We're kind of picturing that violet geranium with that bright yellow, going to look fantastic. And then to continue the theme, we do have the Superbena plum wine verbena, and I think that's over here. So we have some there that gets that same violet color, and then we paired that with a lantana over on this side. The lantana is the Vandalista pineapple. So, oh, there's one blooming right here. So there you get to see the color. And then we have two different petunias in here. Actually, I think we have more than that. We have three. So the one that you see blooming, I think that is the Surfinia Heavenly Cabernet. I believe that's the one. And then over here, the yellow one in bloom is the Super Cal Premium Yellow Sun, Yellow Sun. And then there's one more. It's this one, I think, right here. And that one is going to be the Sanguna Mega Purple. So that's the one with the big flower. Maybe that's that's not that's definitely the Cabernet. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking this through as I'm looking at them. So this is going to be a fantastic color palette on this one. Really intense yellows and magentas, and then having that dark sweet potato vine in the middle is going to really, hopefully, be a real standout. So the tallest plant in this combination will likely be this colocasia. It's the illustrious. They're also known as elephant ears. This one is known for that nice black leaf. Very few colocasia get quite that dark of a black. Contrasts really nice with this beautiful red coleus. This is the Main Street Beale Street coleus. This one gets a really nice size, really full as well. This one down here is another coleus called Color Blaze Mini-Me Watermelon. Now it's just starting to grow. We're going to see a lot of growth on these leaves. And as it gets bigger, we're going to start seeing more colors, more peaches and reds and limes and yellows. Really beautiful. And you can really see how much variation you get in leaves here. So this one here has kind of this more traditional wide broadleaf. Look at kind of how the lobing and the shape of this one, much more flame shaped on this one, which when we're talking about leaf shape though, you can't beat. I've never seen one even like this. This is the under the sea bonefish. And just look at the shape on that. I am looking so forward to watching this one get bigger and seeing what it does, because it gets a decent size. It's smaller than the other two, but still a really nice size of coleus. So we're going to get a nice show off that one. Another decent size one is going to be this Queen Tut grass. And you can see it's already starting to get some of these little puffball here finishes. I don't know what you actually call them on a grass, but they're just beautiful. This is going to have a nice little mound. I think it's going to be a good contrast in there. And this plant plays nice with other plants too. Now when it comes to kind of another larger plant in here, this Senecio Angel Wings is another really nice addition. It's got this nice fuzzy leaf, so it's a little bit like the lamb's ear, a little smoother. That's going to keep getting a little bigger and bigger as the season progresses. And you can see how different that color and that texture is when you compare it to the other plants in there. Now, these are kind of our taller ones. When it comes to mounding, we can kind of count on this one. This is called Gold Mound Sedum, and we haven't grown it before. It's brand new this year. We have grown the Lemon Coral Sedum, so we'll be curious to see how this one grows. According to the tag and from what people have said, it gets a little taller than that one, but we'll wait and see how it compares to the other one. But this one is nice because it will kind of mound and it will drape a little bit over the side usually if it behaves like the Lemon Coral Sedum. So that's a nice addition. Similarly for this Artemisia, this is the sea salt, and so this one will mound mostly, but we'll see it covering the edge of the pot a little bit as well, so a little different. Then this one's the Little Ruby Alternanthera, and it gets these nice little purple leaves. Those are going to mound up, and we're going to see those kind of get to the edge as well. Then when it comes to true trailing plants, we have a nice mixture in here, including the needlepoint ivy. But this one here is another coleus. This is a trailing coleus called Burgundy Wedding Train. And this one will just keep growing and growing and growing. By the end of the season, it will probably be touching the ground. That's how big it gets. There's also some silver nickel vine. This one is a great trailing one. Puts on a little show with these little silver coin-shaped leaves. And once it gets started, it really does take off. And then we also have some Tradescantia, and it has these beautiful kind of purple silver leaves. Now, most places Tradescantia can't take full sun, but here in northern Michigan we've been able to put it out in the full sun and it grows fantastic for us. every once in a while, if it's in a really, really hot sunny spot, we might see some browning on the leaves, but for the most part, it's usually protected enough from the other plants. Now in other parts of the country, you might not be able to have this one in full sun. And that's one thing that I want to point out here, is that 6 of these plants can take full sun or full shade. So if you have a shady spot in the yard, there are options for you, and they can have intense color. Other thing you need to know about this combination, if you look closely, there is not a single flower here. This is all done with the foliage. So you can get great color, incredible texture, really great contrast as well without having to think about flowers. The nice thing about all these two, they don't go in and out of flower. You're not waiting for a flower. The minute you plant them, you get this great kind of color show going on, and it just gets better and better as the season goes on. This one is anchored by the Angel Face Super White Angelonia. It gets nice and tall, beautiful white flowers. And then on each side we planted an Archangel Cherry Red Angelonia. It doesn't get quite as tall, but has these really bright fruit punch red flowers on it. It's going to look really nice in contrast to that super white, and it's also going to look great with this geranium Americana Cherry Rose. Stacy had planted these together last year, and they were kind of a perfect match with the cherry red. So nice combo there. And then we're also adding some trailing petunias, or I shouldn't say trailing, they're mounding and trailing. So this is the Sancuna Rose Star, or Star Rose rather, and this one might be a little pinky, so we'll see how it ends up looking, but we're hoping that that stripe down the middle is going to look really nice with it. And we also have another another petunia in here, and this one is the Funhouse Potpourri. Now this is the first flower, so this flower is not true to color. It's actually got a nice hot pink outside and then a bright yellow inside. So we're gonna see how that one plays. I think it's gonna be a nice combo. We're just kind of an experiment here. We also have some trailing plants. So this is the Marguerite sweet potato vine, and that is going to drape all the way over the edge, probably hit the ground. So we're going to have a nice lime in there. Also some lime here in the Creeping Jenny, so it has those nice little pearls of lime, and that's just going to keep growing and growing, and it's going to creep right over the edge of it. And then we have another trailing plant over here, and this is Lophos, and this is a plant that a lot of people don't really know about, but you can see it's already showing its trailing action. It gets really nice and long, and it's already starting to create some buds in there. It has white flowers, so that's going to look nice with the super white Angelonia. And this one is just one of those plants that looks great in containers and baskets because it's just such a nice trailing plant. Now this one at its center has the Rockin' Play in the Blue Salvia, very large salvia with beautiful blue blooms. It's actually starting to send up some flowers right now. On each side of it we put the Beliza White Gara. That one has a completely different texture, more wispy leaves with really delicate flowers that kind of blow in the wind. It's got a lot of movement to it, so it's a really nice addition. We have 2 different petunias in here. So this one here is the Super Cal Premium Bordeaux, and it has that nice kind of burgundy rich red color to it. And then the other one, not blooming right now, but it is the Wave Purple, and that's kind of a classic old standby. We've had it for years. It tends to be a lower one, trails a lot, gets very large. The color is more magenta, so it'll be interesting to see how these look together, but we figured we'd give it a try. We also planted it with some Plectranthus. This is a trailing one, so it kind of mounds up, and then it just will go over the edge. It also has a kind of a fragrance to it that the deer and the mosquitoes don't like, so it has some repellent properties. And then we also use that burgundy wedding train again. So that's, that really vigorous trailing coleus that can take sun or shade as well. So this one is planted heavy with incredible Proven Winners plants. So in the center is the Albrido coleus. So that's the Color Blaze Albrido, and it hasn't gotten its color yet. It still has some growing to do, but once it does, we're just starting to see some of the yellows in there, but it will get peaches and oranges and reds. It has probably the most dynamic color range of any coleus out there, and it gets nice and big. I think it gets close to 3 feet tall. At least the one we had last year definitely did. We surrounded it with a cloud of Diamond Frost Euphorbia. These just are a nice filler plant. They kind of, like I said, create a bit of a cloud around whatever you put it in. Great plant, easy too. You can pretty much put it anywhere and it just behaves, does its thing. And we also put here some black-eyed Susan vine, then Bergia. This is the coconut appeal. So this one has a creamy white flower with a black center. We thought that would look really nice in contrast with some of the darker leaves that we have in here, like on the coleus, and just, you know, with everything that we've got going on here. This time we did not put the black-eyed Susan vine on a trellis. We're going to just let it grow and let it be a trailing plant and a filler plant and just see how it does. We might have to keep an eye on it so it doesn't attack the Color Blaze El Brido coleus, but we'll keep an eye out for that. In there we also have some verbena. This is the Superbena Peachy Keen. So great big umbels of flowers that have a beautiful kind of peach gradient in them. So that's going to play nice, hopefully, with that El Brido. Also included in there are the Supertunia Mini Vista yellow petunias. These are real flower power plants here. It's a brand new one this year, but it gets covered in yellow blooms. Blooms have a slight green cast to them, but it does give you a great kind of blast of yellow wherever you put it. And then we also have the, okay, let me get this name right. It's the Sweet Caroline Sweetheart Jet Black sweet potato vine, or Ipomea. And this one has one of the blackest leaves out there, and we just love having it, and we thought this was just a really good combination to put it in with. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, because with that bright flaming El Brido in the center, and then these nice black leaves coming down, and then the sweet potato vine with its white flowers, this one could be my favorite, but we got to wait and see. I think they're all going to be my favorite as they start to bloom. Now this one over here, we planted just one of each plant. So this is not any kind of formal planting, but we did go with a little bit of more of a sunset kind of theme with the colors. So in the center is the Canova Mango Canna, and that gets nice and big, has beautiful flowers on it. You can see it's already getting a good size, so we're looking forward to how that one's going to go. Then this grass here is called Red Rooster. It's a sedge grass, so we often call it the dead grass because it keeps this brown color, but it just keeps growing and growing. It has really interesting texture, and just that color creates a nice little backdrop as well. So interesting one there. There's also a mango, it's a venti mango dahlia in here, so that's going to give us nice kind of mango colored flowers. And then there's also, this is the Main Street Sunset Boulevard coleus, nice peachy color in there. And the nice thing about this one is because it has kind of this vein down the middle and different color on the edge, it tends to pick up whatever color you put it with. So if you put it with pink, it looks more pink. If you put it with peach, it looks more peach. With orange, it tends to show its orange a little bit. So it's very, very versatile. Well, we're pushing it to its limit because we're putting all kinds of oranges, peaches, all those kind of colors in there. Another plant that we have in here, I thought there was a Crossandra. Yep, it's right here, right in front of me. This one we haven't had before, but it gets a nice orange flower. In fact, some of them are already starting to bloom. I think that's a bloom right there that's starting to show up. So it definitely wants to flower, so that'll be an interesting addition. Also use that Diamond Frost Euphorbia in there as well. Ooh, we got somebody making noise outside right now. We also have a petunia in here. That's over here. This is the Funhouse Peach Melba. So has kind of goes with our color theme, something, give it a try. We also have a Calibrachoa in here. So this is the Super Bells Tropical Sunrise, and they'll get little stripes in there, just an interesting color on that one. And then we have 3 different types of sweet potato vine in here. So first one, we have that jet black again. This one here is the Illusion Penny Lace, and this one doesn't trail quite as much, but look at the lobing on the leaf on this, just really deep lobes. Has, gives it more of kind of a shimmering flame kind of look to it. So again, this one doesn't trail quite as much, but it's really a dynamic looking sweet potato vine. And then we have the Sidekick Bronze, and this one has some of the most beautiful leaves. They just get a nice bronzy color. In fact, I saw one where it almost looked like it was spray painted gold. Just very, very interesting. I think I also forgot there's a verbena in here. This is the Superbena Peachy Keen. There's also an ivy in there. Also have the Fanciful Fillers Sunburst. So that one is going to have a nice trailing habit to it as well. Did I miss anything? Oh, we got some wire vine as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this one does. It should just kind of trail over the edge. I think I have all those plants. So when you stop in this summer, you'll have to check in on some of these pots, see how they're doing. I will update you later on the season to show you exactly what does well, what maybe doesn't do quite as well, what are the big showstoppers in each one of these pots. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Talk to you guys all very, very soon.